is aka AB, Abongile Dzai. I've been in the business of building brands for the past 7 years now. I'm a brand manager by profession. I love good food, good music, and spending time with my family. And I'm really excited with today's segment on where we will be dissecting the pros and cons of brand management, whether you are in a high functioning um, role within the corporate, or you're just starting your own brand as a small business. Will get you keyed up with all the necessary information you'd like to know. Thanks, Mo. So for Mo, as I said in my initial intro, so I've been in the business of building brands. So I build brands. I'm that person in the background that does all the technical nitty gritties that actually make the brands that people see when they're walking on the streets and stuff like that. So what makes brands? Firstly, a brand is not a product. Brand is not your logo. Brand is not your website. What is a brand? So a brand basically lives in the minds of the consumer. So firstly, before you make up a brand, you need to position it in the right consumer, in the right audiences. And then how do you do that? So before you build a brand, you need to have values. So the first premise where you start from is values. What do you stand for? After you have listed all those values, you need to have a mission. No, you need to have a vision, which is the holistic picture. Where does my brand fit in society? Once you've established that, you have a mission. A mission now you need to distinguish whether I need morale to partner with in order to make this vision come true. And once you've done that, you look at the action plans and actually measuring the impact. So for big corporates, instantly, how do they make their brands a success? Firstly, it's not about spending huge amounts of budgets, trying to have a billboard ad, a TV ad. You need to understand where your consumer is. You need to understand what type of channel do I use to engage with that consumer at a particular time, at a particular place. You need to ascertain what state of mind are they in at that time. 8 o'clock, they're most probably engaging with your soapies. They set it as a family. You can serve them an ad on TV. You can actually track TV by saying SMS this word. They SMS. You know how many people you've engaged with. So those are the parameters how you can measure whether you are in fact engaging with the right target audience. And once you have all those strategies, tactics in place, you need to build brand loyalty. So brand loyalty refers to retention. How well does your organization, how well does your brand retain customers, followers? For corporations, it's always going to be measured in revenue. For personalities, it's always going to be measured in we call it social commodity. How much followers do they have on social medias and stuff like that? The social commodities of this world. Once you build the right brand loyalty, your brand will initially start its own engine and move by itself, because now you would have reached the level of brand advocacy. Now, brand advocacy, you have people that are selling your brand on your behalf, for you. In some instances, your brand starts to become a generic brand. For instance, hey, don't forget to buy that Colgate Aqua Fresh.
KPC big time.
That is an advocate. They prefer Aqua Fresh for the household, but the mere fact that that category they associate with a specific brand means that as a brand manager for Colgate, you've done an absolutely stunning job. So basically, more to answer your question in a nutshell, how do you put your brand out there and how do you make your brand a success? Know who your audience is. Stay true to your values. Know how your audience behave. Know how to interact with your audience at a certain state in time, and always calculate, always measure the efficacy of your communication campaigns. If you have a campaign, measure it. It will give you insights on how to better communicate with your audience going forward, which at the end of the day, each and every brand needs to do that. Whether you're a corporate brand or you're a personal brand, you constantly need to optimize how you engage, because at the end of the day, consumers are constantly evolving. Yesterday's consumers is not today's consumers. The rate of elasticity of consumers shifting between brands has increased significantly. Why? Because there's more options out there. The rise of technological advances, like your digital media, has put us in a global village, where a product that is produced in China and is only sold within those parameters of that local area, you can actually order it via social media. So brands need to know what's happening around them. And also, just going back to what Morale said, Laelian, as brands, we are brands. At the end of the day, we all need to make numbers. Brands need to be versatile. Going back to the example of Amapiano and so on, if an opportunity presents itself, you don't want to be left out like Nokia and BlackBerry, where Android technology said, guys, here's an opportunity. We're taking mobile technology to a completely different world. And they were set up on saying, no, this is how it has been done. Look at who owns the cell phone market now. It's those people those brands that actually said, okay, this could be something that could actually happen. So brands constantly need to be versatile in order to survive in this highly cluttered environment. If you have a strong brand equity, so first of all, if you have a strong brand equity, means that there's definitely something right that you're doing. There is nothing wrong if you are a personality brand stating that your brand has reached a certain level within the realm. If you are a business and you are a leader in your market, definitely nothing wrong with you telling the competitors and everyone in general that you are a leader within the market, because your brand equity speaks for itself. It speaks positive. It speaks for a positive brand sentiment, which means there's a lot of positivity going around your brand. And by positivity, it doesn't necessarily mean brands stand for certain things. Some some brands stand spend to enlighten people with positive gestures. Some brands are not there to do that. But either ways, if they have the necessary brand equity and the positive perception to those people that they service, there's definitely nothing wrong with splashing it out there and telling the world that you are doing something right. And it also gives your followers, your customers, and your brand loyals reassurance that they made the right choice by sticking to this brand, because it is a leader in what it does, and it's not afraid to actually go out and say, I am a leader in what I do. That's my 2 cents. Yeah, we can hear you. So, as a PR company, for me to do crisis and reputation management on your behalf, you have to be my client, or you have to come to me and make a proposal that you can I do a PR campaign which focuses on crisis management and reputation management for pro bono.
Mm-hmm.
So so I don't think I know a lot of black PR companies who are making strides in the industry, but to be quite honest, if the relationship is non-existent, I don't see them just going up to a black business and saying, you've been hardly hit by this reputation crisis. We would like to help you, if that makes sense. But just to finalize, Mo, how to deal with negativity. First of all, you always need to tackle it. You cannot have a negative post on social media and say, no, give it 2 days, it will die out, and then delete it. Because probably someone has taken a screen grab. The Internet of Things has made everything we say to live beyond us. So firstly, in a crisis and reputation management situation, you constantly need to tackle the issue at hand. You constantly need to engage those people that it affects. You need to reassure them that if it's something that is ongoing, you are currently looking into it. If it's something that has transpired, it has happened, there's nothing you can do. You were in the wrong corner. Come out and say it was wrong. You're investigating what could have happened. You reassure the general public that it was an error and it won't happen going forward again. So basically, brands are like personalities. We live in a world where there are millions and millions of personalities. Personalities need to communicate. Personalities need to socialize. So brands are similar to personalities. So they make acquaintances. Look at your life's journey from when you were born to where you are now. You've made a lot of acquaintances along the way. Some still exist. Some ended in a positive, some ended in a negative manner. But life goes on. The same as branding. So you just need to reposition your brand and move forward. Emo, I'll speak at it from the bigger, from a more holistic approach. Also, just to give small and coming brands insights that they might need, and also where gaps exist within the corporate environment and how they can actually leverage from those gaps. So a lot of corporates have your corporate social investment and corporate social responsibility drives where they actually have to work with young upcoming brands in South Africa, and so that actually gives them exposure. So in some instances, my previous role, I used to work within the airline industry before COVID and everything came to exist. So we would have a lady that owned a boutique store, designed and developed uniforms. And I'm talking about 4,000, like thousands of uniform for all the staff. So those are things that exist, and for small and upcoming brands and businesses, firstly, you definitely need a friend in procurement and in marketing. Now I'm just joking, guys, but but you need to establish some form of correspondence or engagement with those people, just to stay abreast. Hey guys, are you not doing some form of, this is what I do, this is my business plan, this is my business profile. If you guys have anything you might need, services that we render, can you please use us? In some instances, you can even go as far as saying, I'm willing to do it for pro bono or for a very discounted amount. Because if you look at some of these brands, they're huge. So if you do get your product out to them, let's say for the previous example I used within the airline industry. So basically, the airline industry I used to work with, the airline industry. We go to Bloemfontein, we have a counter. Cape Town, Durban, you engage with that uniform. You ask them now, hey guys, who designed the uniform for you? Yeah, no, it's this person. You go on Instagram, yeah, this person only has 3,000 followers. You follow them. You grow as a brand. So small brands must not all the time expect big brands to come up to them and say, hey, we have the millions, we want to assist you. No one wants to give money to anyone, even businesses. Even multi-billion dollar businesses don't give handouts. But if you show them that you are a brand, you want to grow, what I mentioned first, you need to pester them, know what's going on, know what supplier development initiatives are going on, are coming, and try to leverage from them. So if you still recall that crying I took you guys through values and funneling it down. So there's something that a brand needs. The two most important one. It's a brand mission. The brand mission, those ones that you funders, people that will mostly fund the business are most concerned about, because they want to see the actionable deliverables that you're actually willing to take. And then there's the brand vision, which is the more holistic picture, which as a brand specialist, I think it's the most important one. So if you take these two and actually derive, there should be something that's called a brand promise. So a brand promise, it's a promise you make with regards to your brand. Might not know it, but unconsciously he has a brand promise, which is his brand is that it will always be something personal. You understand? If you support me, that we are building a personal relationship here, not that it's just a transaction that's happening, and then if you go to morale, his promise is to deliver on a genuine and original South African music.
Content.
So now, how do you ensure that's where experience comes through? If you deliver on your experience, on your promise, which means you are meeting your brand, the brand experience that you deliver to your end customer. So from my side, you have to constantly meet the brand promise in order to effectively know that you are meeting the brand experience that customers expect from your brand.
So, AB, I want to ask you this. When, especially you are in the corporate side, like, when does brand restructuring come in? Does do you okay you brand restructure because maybe you wanna change maybe your target audience, or you wanna you maybe you have a scandal and you just rebranding, or you wanna be relevant. Like, when does that come into play, and how often does rebranding take place? Like, is it because you have to stay relevant in most cases?
So when you look at rebranding, in most instances, it's external forces pushing from outside to the inside, which is forcing you as an organization to take steps. It might be changes within the market. What are your competitors doing right? Do you also need to adapt and make use of some of the tactics that they are making use, or is it consumer driven? How is our consumer behavior changing? So a lot of people, when they think about brand management, they just think we go to strike deals with celebrities. Hey, do this for my brand. Just have a cool advertisement on TV, on radio, on social media. There's a lot of technical activities that go at the back end, which is purely data driven. Most of us brand managers we suffer from data paralysis, because we are exposed to so much data. For instance, my audience, for the brands that I cater for, we're looking at an audience of 28 million people. How many out of those 28 million people do we transact with on a day-to-day basis? On social media, on our website? How are we making use of that data? So going back to why companies rebrand, though that data, those analytics will tell the company that certain changes need to happen. We're no longer making our KPIs. So another thing that causes brands to rebrand is if they are not making their KPIs when it comes to brand health. So in brand management, we have KPIs which go back to brand health. We look at a lot of instances, a lot of indicators that actually tell us where we are with regards to brand health. That's why we can actually come back and say, no, man, something needs to happen. And then in some instances, it happens because of what? Of crisis management. of reputation management that we need to rebrand. You look at something similar to the rebranding of ABSA. That followed after several communication was out on social media, uh, linking them to apartheid corruption. So they needed a way. They needed to move away from the brand, which was Barclays. ABSA was Barclays, ABSA by Barclays. So they needed to be an African brand. That's when you can even see that their rebranding was done because they went out to the market, they understood the market, and then the market said, "Hey guys, in order to win, in order to shift our perceptions, you guys have to be an African bank, Africanicity." That's when data is effectively used to actually tell a story of what people are actually thinking, and then successful implementation gives you the example that I just shared with you guys. Can you remind me what was your last question?
I spoke so long.
I got lost there. I got lost there.
So yeah, my question is, what, not your question actually. What advice would you give? Okay, what challenges made you a better entrepreneur? And what advice would you give to aspiring entrepreneurs that want to enter into your field of expertise?
Okay, so I think once in the show, now I'm not gonna talk about AB as the professional, but AB as the hustler. So so I'm in the marketing and branding consulting sphere. Firstly, the first challenge, it's cluttered. There are a lot of well-established companies and consulting organizations that are already doing what we are currently doing. We seek to assist your small businesses and how to make a positive impact from when actually coming up with a brand strategy to a brand positioning strategy to going to the actual market. How do you market yourself? Challenges that arise is, firstly, it's from an audience perspective. The audience in the market is reluctant on paying for services. In most instances, I don't blame them. It's purely based because of budget constraints. So challenges as an entrepreneur that you incur is finding the client base that has the right financial positioning with in which they can afford your services, especially in being a startup and operating in an environment that is very cluttered. And also now you look at what we offer. It's a service, so it doesn't have anything tangible. So people tend to question it a lot. It's like, AP is really selling me marketing advice. Can't I just do this myself? Which in most instances, some brands can, some cannot. That's the harsh reality. Some brands do need to AP to actually effectively guide them into those turbulent environments, just to make sure that they use all their capacity to gain as much return on investment as they need. Advice I would give to upcoming brands who particularly fall within my realm, which is communication, whether it be digital, it be offline, is find your niche. There's always that niche where you belong. There's always that audience that will respond in a positive way to your service offerings. Find that niche. Once you find that niche, stay true to your brand values and always uphold your brand promise. Do what you promise, and the rest will fall in place. And especially when you're at the start, when you're a startup business, dream big, but focus on the small wins. Look at the lowest hanging fruit and always make sure that you satisfy it. The lowest hanging fruit will take you to the next level, and so on and so forth.